YouTube, dead or alive, you're coming with me. Hello everyone of YouTube, this is Nick Smith. Welcome to another episode of Phenomenal Views. And I recently did my review of RoboCop, but I didn't like it, so I'm redoing it. I thought I rambled too much, and so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to talk about is, I am going to talk about the film, but I'm going to try and not go into too much, because I want you all to watch the film. It's a good film, but the original is better just because only problems I have with the film, with the remake, is one, it's PG-13, and number two, you can tell that they just put RoboCop in the suburbs. Like, they didn't make their world, they just put him in there, like how Joel Schumacher did with his Batman and Batman Returns. He designed Gotham. I mean, yeah, it took place in another city, but he designed the sets. He made it look like Gotham. With the original RoboCop, they made Detroit, Michigan look like a dark and very dangerous place. And here, they just put him in there like how they tried to design Gotham in the Dark Knight films, but it's hit and miss. And with this film, the environment is, the only thing that is good about the environment is the fact that, like, all the police force has robots. You know, that's basically it. It's kind of a futuristic Detroit, Michigan. But the film starts out on a show from Pat Novak, who is talking about how robots are in the Middle East and all over the world, except in America. And Michael Keaton, the real Batman, is wanting to put robots in America, but there is an act, the Dreyfus Act, that is repelling that because they don't want a robot accidentally killing a child and not feeling bad about it. The reason why they won't allow a robot to be on the streets is because they want someone on the streets with feeling. They don't want something cold and cold-hearted. And in this film, we do get the Ed 209. They are introduced right in the middle of the way of the film. That in a new design of robot called the Ed 208, which is basically RoboCop just without the face and all that other stuff. So Raymond Sellers is wanting to bring a robot into America, and the Dreyfus Act repels them for it. They're like, no, we're not going to do that, like I've already said. So then we're introduced to Alex Murphy, who is played by Joel Kinnaman, and he is a good person to play RoboCop. He is perfect. He is, I don't know the original guy's name, but this guy looks like this version of RoboCop. He looks like him. You know, you can identify with him. So him and his partner, who is played by Michael William, who plays a guy named Jack Willis, or I think that's his name. Which, yes, his partner in this movie is not a woman like how it was in the original. That's fine. It does suck, though, but it's okay. But, so he gets pulled into the office of his chief of police, and about like how he made a mistake, and because of a mistake he made, his partner is in the hospital. But because of the mistake he made, they uncovered something, and they find out that two of their officers, Andre Daniels and John Lake, are working for the main villain, Anton Valen, or I think that's how you pronounce his name. But when they find out, they decide, okay, we're going to kill Murphy. Now, in the original, how Murphy was killed, him and his partner went on their very first, scouting of the city together, and they got separated, and so the bad guy shot him to death. That's why he had to become RoboCop. Well, in this one, they put a bomb under his car, and it's when he goes home, and I actually liked this. A lot of people say that Alex Murphy's wife in this film is more plot device than she is a character. I kind of agree, and I somewhat disagree, just because this is the very first time that in the original film, his wife and son are only mentioned once. In this film, they have more to do. Like, in this film, it is because of his wife signing this petition that Alex is able to become RoboCop. Unlike in the original, how when he died, his family just moved away, and the government practically owned his body, and they could do whatever they wanted with it. So, we get some good character development between his wife and his son, and how much he loves his son. I honestly would like to call this basically like Frank Castle with his son in the Punisher film, before his son got murdered. You can tell he really loves his son, and they do pull off this family. These are two good actors. Abby Cornish and Joel Kinnaman are very good actors, and they do play these characters really well. So when they're getting ready to have a husband and wife moment, when they're getting ready to, have a moment, his car alarm goes off. And so he goes to check it because he can't turn it off. So when he goes to open the door, his body, like the car explodes, and it puts him in serious condition. And in this film, we are introduced to the doctor known as Dr. Norton, who is played by Gary Oldman, the real Commissioner Gordon. And they set up how machines work in this universe. And this is like the futuristic kind of thing. You know, with people who are amputated, they put robot parts on where their former limbs used to be. But they explain that in order for you to work with them, you have to have the right emotional balance. And they show this scene by showing a former guitarist who lost both of his arms, and he's having to play guitar and having to work with his hands. But they show, like, in his brain, like they do this with Alex as well. You have to have a perfect emotional setting to be able to work with it, or else it's going to throw the thing off balance. And so when Sellers sees this, he talks to the doctor, and he's like, look, I already said I don't want to do with weapons and anything like that. I just wanted to do my work, you know. So then Alex wakes up, and he's in a dream sequence, and he's already in the RoboCop suit. You know, like, it's him, it's his fantasy world, you know. He's dancing with his wife and his friends, and so they decide to wake him up, and, you know, he freaks out, you know, of course, but, you know, the visor comes down, and he looks like RoboCop, you know, which I didn't mind the gray suit, but I'm going to admit I liked the black suit a little bit better. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for that, but I honestly liked the black suit a little bit more in this film. I don't know, maybe just because, I don't know, maybe it's the visor, because I kind of liked the visor, like, where it covered his whole face, except his mouth part right here, whereas the other one, like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me for some reason. So, you know, he wakes up, and then, you know, they start to calm him down, when they shut him off, and then he's, you know, waking up, and they're explaining to him about what happened. He shows what's left of his body, and it's just his hand, his brain, and his lungs, and he hates it so much, and he's wanting to be killed, but he's like, okay. Dr. Norton's like, all right, say I did that. What would I tell your wife and son? What would I tell your wife, the one who signed this petition to give you your life back, to give you a second chance? And he's like, well, just tell him it didn't work. I don't want this. I don't want to look like this, you know? So they eventually talk him out of it, and they basically say, like, look, your wife gave you a second chance. We need you to take it. So he starts to go along with it. And then we run into Jackie Earle Haley, who is one of my favorite actors. He's playing this guy called, I couldn't remember his name, Rick Madoff. He's like the weapons specialist or something. I think he designed the RoboCop suit, so he was one of the designers. So he explained to him, like, how his weapons work and how his gun will come out. If he's like threatened or anything, the suit will activate automatically, and the gun will, like, pop out of his leg. So then, like, they go into a test simulation, and they compare him with a Ed 208, and how the Ed 208 will not hesitate, but Murphy will, but it's because Murphy's using his brain, and he's in control. And Sellers doesn't like this, so Sellers is like, all right, fix him. Fix him so he can do this, and I can sell him, basically make a profit. So what they do is, the doctor's like, fine, we'll fix him. So what he does is they take him to China, and they're working on the suit design, and Sellers was like, they were looking at the robot suit, and they were actually looking at the original RoboCop suit, which I thought was pretty cool. They do a lot of homage to the original. And so what they're doing is they're showing, like, what they want him to look like, and he's like, look at this. All right, wait a minute, now watch this. He can transform. The kids love it. I would love it. Sell that to the market. I would love to have this action figure. You know, just like one, just, oh, hey, RoboCop, transform to the original. And, you know, Sellers was like, this is embarrassing. Let's go with black. Oh, okay. Alright, only one problem with this. Alright, Bruce, I don't know what kind of financial debts you went into. You looked like you were doing pretty good after the Dark Knight Returns, or the Batman Returns, or whatever. Just because you were Batman does not mean everything has to be black. Stop with the black fetish. So, you know, they turn him black. You know, they paint him black. And he actually looks okay. You know, but a lot of people will say that this is lazy, and I do kind of agree. I do have to agree that this is kind of lazy. But at the same time, it looks cool. It looks more sleek. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion. So then we get to the training simulation, where, you know, Alex Murphy meets Raymond Sellers for the first time. And they do the whole simulation thing, and they notice now Murphy is doing everything that they wanted the machine to do. And you're wondering, how is this possible? And Dr. Norton's basically like, well, I did something with his brain to where he thinks he's doing everything. He has the illusion of free will, but he's not really doing it. He's like, basically, Alex is just along for the ride. It's like Trent in Power Rangers Dino Thunder when he became the White Ranger for the first time. You know, he was basically just along for the ride while the evil of the White Ranger was in control. He was in the suit, but the White Ranger was actually controlling everything. He was just along for the ride. So that's what this is like. And so then, when he finally goes home to his wife, you know, his son is a little bit scared of him, but, I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't be a little subject? Of course, so this is what I would be doing the next day I go to school. My dad is a freaking cyborg! No one pick on me or he will come and shoot you all. You know, this actually, that what I just said kind of makes me think of something my mom told me about, you know, dads and stuff. And they were like, she seen something on Facebook where they were like, you know, no one messes with Brock Lesnar's kids. The girl's like, because my dad is so big. And, you know, how God is our dad and no one needs to mess with us. And I, when I just thought of that, I thought that was kind of funny. You know, thinking, oh, you better not mess with me. Don't mess with him, man. His dad is RoboCop. He will shoot you. You know, Brock Lesnar's my dad. Not really, but I'm pretending to be the kids. Don't mess with him, man. Brock Lesnar's his dad. He will break your arm. He ended the Undertaker's streak. Why did I say that? Oh, well, I'll be fine. But, so yeah, basically we do get some family time, and then he goes back to the station, and he starts working tomorrow. So then, you know, he runs into his partner, and his partner makes a kind of funny joke. He's like, hey, you know what? At least you're the right color this time. I was like, that's kind of funny. Kind of. But, so they start doing the simulation. You know, they're going to show RoboCop off to the people. You know, this is what we're going to do now. This is what our police force is going to be like. So when they're trying to, like, jam all of this information in Alex's mind, he has a stroke, he freaks out, and the only way that they control him is to take the things down in his brain, like in his brain system. They have to numb these down all the way to 2%, to where he won't have any emotions and he can handle all this, because he wasn't being emotionally balanced. He was seeing all these crimes and he's like, I gotta stop it, I gotta stop it. And he had a seizure. So then they turn him into the real RoboCop. You know, RoboCop, like where this woman was hugging, was like, thank you, ma'am. You have been sexually assaulted. I will consult a rape person. Have a good day. Kind of like that. And when his son sees him, his son is freaked out. Like, big time. And so was his wife. So much that, like, she's asking the doctor, she's like, I looked into his eyes, and that was not my husband. Like, and also, Omnicorp will not let her see Murphy. They will not let her see him. Which, you know, this is her main purpose in the film, is to keep going to the press and keep going to Mr. Sellers to... She's basically a pissed off wife. She's a pissed off spouse. And that's kind of like the only part she plays. She plays sad, she plays happy spouse, sad spouse, pissed off spouse. That's basically it. And so when he's doing his routines, he sees his wife and she's like, our son will not go to school. We need you to come home. I know you're in there. Do whatever they've undone to you. I can't take this. We need to get things back to the way they used to be. So they notice after that Alex, by the way, they call him Alex in this film, not Murphy. They only say Murphy like once or twice. Instead of watching the crimes, he's looking at his son and his wife. He goes home and he solves his own crime, and basically he goes to Anton Valen, and they find out that he monitored them because someone wasn't using a cell phone right, or an undecrypted cell phone. He finds them, and there's a scene that a lot of people don't like, and it is where everything, you know, is shot in the dark. And a lot of people say that this is bad. And it can be, but I don't know, maybe people couldn't see anything, but I could actually see everything. I could see everything. Everything in the dark, I could see. Uwe Boll, take notes! So then after that, he finds that guns that were on Anton, he finds prints that were on Anton Valen's gun, and they match Andre and John Lake. And so either Andre, when he goes to the police station, he's like, I found your fingerprints, I'm gonna take you down. And then, like, when they're getting ready to shoot him, he just pulls out his gun and he's just like, pfft. He tases people a lot. And it's so funny, because like in Grand Theft Auto 5, I just got the taser with Trevor. I'll just walk up to random people and I'll just shock them till they die. I'm not a sick person. And now I can see how the lighting is better. But, so he starts to figure things out, and they do another scene really well, because Sellers gives, Rick control of, Murphy, basically. If he does anything he's not supposed to, you know, they shut him down. And when he finds out that, his chief of police, tipped off Valen that RoboCop was coming for him, he's going to arrest her, so they shut him down. And then Sellers is like, okay, things are getting too bad. You know, we're going to have to kill him. So they basically devise up this whole plan, telling his wife, look, he had a seizure, he didn't make it, if there's anything that we can do, you know, and she's like, stay away from us, never come in contact with us again. And so then Dr. Norton wakes up Alex, and then he shoots the police officers, and then he goes off, and we finally get the fight between him and Ed 209, and it's so cool, because they're like, okay, he's coming. His wife is in the building, and we need to distract them. So basically, you know, he lies to her again, like, look, your husband is dead, but his robotic body is on a rampage. We gotta get you out of here. So we finally get the fight between him and Ed 209, two of them, and how he wins, his partner comes and saves his butt. Because they were murdering him bad. He gets shot in the head in the crack house scene, and his visor is cracked. So, but how he gets in the building, they're like, put your weapon down. Tases a police officer, and he's like, I'd put your guns down if I were you. They're like, yep, we're done. See ya. He gets in the building, him and his partner basically defeat the Ed 209s, and then he goes up to Sellers and confronts him. And he can't shoot him because of a certain thing that they designed. If someone's wearing like a red Novak thing, like if their color is red, he can't shoot them because it's breaking protocol. And if he corrupts the protocol, it'll shut him down and it'll shut him down and kill him. But because his brain power and because he's still human, he's more man than machine. And because of this, and they really touched on this really well, I think. He's able to do what he was able to do in the original, and he shoots Sellers, and then they never actually mention him again, but they give him a new robot body. Him and his wife and son walk off, and the movie ends with Pat Novak talking about how he thinks Dr. Norton should be arrested instead of walking free. And this will set up a good sequel. I think that I've never watched the RoboCop sequels. I'll have to before I watch the other. I don't even know if there will be a RoboCop sequel. You know, it's like Evil Dead. They remade Evil Dead, and I don't even know if there's going to be a sequel to Evil Dead. I don't know if there should be, but, you know. If you guys are going to watch this film, I strongly recommend that you watch the original first because it's rated R. And not just because of that, but because of the gritty tone that the original said that this one clearly doesn't. That is the only thing I had a problem with, was that it's not the same dark tone that it should have been. And also, I think that this was a little bit of a cash grab, but not that bad. Not like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. But, guys, I'm Nick Smith. Comment below. Tell me, what did you think of this remake? I really want to know. Because before I did this review, and before I even bought the movie, I watched Filmmaster Adam, and he didn't like it. I didn't think I would, but I actually did. Not as much as I like the original, but it's a good... It's not something that it's not like I must own. It's not like BioShock Infinite or The Last of Us, and yes, I'm talking about video games. But it's just something to add to your collection, you know? So if you guys want to buy it, go on ahead, be my guest. But, guys, I am Nick Smith. This has been another episode of Phenomenal Views. Stay tuned for when I do my next Megazord review. That's coming pretty soon. I will not be making videos for the next 2 days because I will be going on a trip. So, you know, guys, hope you can survive without my videos. But, guys, have a good day. Just, you know, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think, mention me to your friends. Guys, have a good day. You're coming with me.